We are live. Welcome, everyone, to Bardic Inspiration. This is Dungeons and Dragons in Shakespearean Style. And we, tonight, are with the Magical Cane Band, who have been up to some party-fueled hijinks in the Moonwood, here in our homebrew world of Eorn, the nation of Eston, in the shadow of the great big mountains called the Gamolan Ranges, especially one called the Dawn Guard. I'm going to turn it over to the cast in just a second to recap our last session. But the Magical Cane Band are a troupe of traveling minstrels who have overcome their foes through the glitz and glam, the magic of theater. Again and again, they have received reviews from dragons. They have had discourse with witches, and they have assassinated a nasty man named Edwin Banks, and now they're on the run. So I'm going to turn it over to the cast to recap for you the events of last session 2 weeks ago. Since last Sunday we had the Headless Marys, our other adventuring group. I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to you. Everybody ready? Steady. Go.
At the start of the session, Esme had just made a big fire, and so Rain had run off into the forest.
Yes, Esme is Budge's mum, and the Haruchu clan of bugbears here for the day of gleaning, and there's many clans from around the Gamolan Ranges.
I think Broccoli pulled out a bongo at some point.
Yeah.
Early on and later on. Anytime there's a bonfire.
And Saphira asked him to do her a favor with his Webastian, his familiar.
That's right. Yeah, there was a big prank to scare all the kiddies with Webastian and a scary story.
Not the
There
only
was a lot of, there were many pranks going on. So Rain devised a prank to get back at Budge, which involved Finn becoming invisible, turning into, disguising herself as Budge, and then seriously spoofing him.
Perfectly imitating his voice and professing his death amongst his friends and family, and then vanishing.
Unless he found himself.
Unless he found himself.
And did we have Fight Club?
That's how he tried to find himself. By getting beaten up by Rain in a fight pit.
Yeah, Rain and Budge had Fight Club. They tried to be all sneaky and do fancy stuff, and then we just paired it back to just smacking each other, like the way Fight Club was meant to be.
We had some pretty sweet campfire sing-alongs with Zimri, Budge's little brother, and his nan told a pretty great story about her huntress.
And Alora got all flirty.
Yep, Laura met a guy.
Laura did. That's right.
Also, they're in the forest that Rain noticed, and then everyone's avoiding.
It's also why the other clans are here, yeah.
And there's also a giant ginger bugbear called Norman who makes beer.
That's
Oh, yes. Never-ending beer.
Ginger beer.
So glad we included Norman, who makes his own beer and loves Fight Club. Real big fan. Big fan of Fight Club.
When it's done right.
Not so adept with personal boundaries. Maybe a lesson there to be learned for Norman, as we learned. Okay. This is where we are, in a clearing in the middle of the Moonwood. All of you have just been reveling, pranking, punching, etc. People, the younger members of the Haruchu clan, and indeed some of the visitors to the Moonwood, are beginning to do that thing that kids do at parties where they're trying real hard to be awake. And the youngest ones have given up entirely and sort of passed out where they plop down for the stories. The elder siblings are trying to pretend that they're not tired and then being louder as a result. There's little motions in the ocean amongst the parent groups to sort of encourage them along to where they're going to bed down. Some of the adults have even sort of yawned and stretched and taking advantage of the clamor after Ichabod finishes her tale. More of the younger crowd kind of comes up and surrounds Ichabod and Finn as well, since you were accompanying with your Hans Zimmer-esque adventure ballad, and they're all talking about how great the story is, and some of them are like, "Oh no, I feel that we're different than I remember. I thought the Bahir had 20 arms last time you said." And like, no, we're always 12. And then some Zimri is like sort of standing off to the side, just like looking over at all of you one after the other, and then like pretending not to be looking. So it is good-natured chaos, but also moving to the next stage of the night, where the diehards are staying up, but some people are calling it at this point. So, Cane Band, left to your devices, what are you getting up to?
I'm just keeping the bongo going. I'm deep in bonfire rhythm. Leave me be.
Budge wants to find out, because the Day of Gleaning is also, he knows it's like a celebration, but it's also like a day of omens, and he wants to know who it was who was reading those omens this year, and what they saw. And so he might try and see if he can get that. He'll go and find his older sister Zilla, and see what she knows.
Right then, Budge. It's oftentimes no easy thing to get Mum and Ichabod to have their beans be spilled.
Right.
Truth told, they look a bit grim about it.
We've
not
had
sure,
bad
'cause
omens before, huh?
Oh, sure, but I think Mum's half cranked because Nan's a bit rough.
He's on her last legs.
Well, ever since, being captured and whatnot.
Did she say much of where she was?
She don't talk about it much. She's a clever one. She always knows how to change the subject. We can tell that we're rough, though. She gets tired easy. She's probably off to bed now, in fact. She sort of gestures over, and you can see Esme is kind of gingerly leading Ichabod over to some of the tents that have been set up. And there's kind of one of the bigger ones that she's sending her out to. And a few of the more stalwart kids are like following them, asking her questions about the Bahir and stuff. And Esme is shushing them away. And Saphira is like grabbing a few of them and taking them off away. But yeah. I don't know, Budge. I'm expecting bad hunts or strange beasts or I know not what, but Mom said something strange the other night. She said the moon would have a tale to tell.
Right.
I mean, she said something like that before, but it were the way she said it. Like it really, in truth, did mean something. She really knew not what 'twould be.
Bad time at the moment, I think. When I found Ellie and Ichabod and Izzy, and I don't know what they've said, but there were a wizard that were doing tricks, experiments on them, magic stones on their heads. We had to go into their dreams to get them out. And I'm not sure sort of a mark that might have left. His name, if you ever bump into him, by any means, I don't imagine you would, but wizard's name was Vandermast.
Vandermast.
He needs to meet his end someday.
If he ever crosses Clan Haruatru again, he will.
Really? Perhaps Clan Haruatru will cross him.
perhaps. When they come back, Ichabod spoke with Mum. All of them spoke for a bit. I never seen Saphira so mad. She broke her axe.
The good one.
Yeah, the good one. Not just the blade, but the haft. Over in the old heart tree, a few leagues off.
I'll have to find that. Surprised she's still here, if I'm honest.
She'd been off hunting hard ever since. She were chasing something when she came across you, I think. Some strange things around the edges of the wood.
I'm sure the moon will tell us more about it.
I'm sure it will. Tale it has to tell. Budge, art thou alright?
Oh yeah. I'm in the middle of a whirlpool, as it were, but it is fun. I mean, spend more time with this lot and we shall see.
Budge, loath as I am to big sister you patch your boat, alright?
Aye, it's fine.
You know what Saphira's gonna do. Your bark goes down again.
Right, and I've never been in a spot I couldn't get out of. You know that as well as anyone. They've been there.
Aye, so I have.
Right, you just have a little faith.
So I do, Budge. You go losing yourself. Saphira's gonna find you. Pull you right out of those dreams. The Shadowland itself.
That's why I always find my way out, because that is a fear worse than death.
So it is. So it is. Budge, did you walk in dreams?
Walk, lie, scream as an eagle. I did.
Were that like?
Sing. Lie. Be in the bowels of a dragon and break your way out.
The bowels of a dragon?
Aye. Standard dreaming. Super amazing. Scary. Like, if I'm to see more stuff like that with the Cane Band, I shall remain a member.
So I expect. Right, well, you just, there was one more thing. And Zilla sort of starts rummaging in her bag.
Oh, come on, I'm a bit old for it.
No, not for you. And she pulls out from her bag a handful of like homespun strings, and there's like a clinkling, high-pitched sort of tinkling sound. This might bring up a very, very old memory for you, Budge. Very old, talking like some of the earliest days you can remember. On these strings, there are little bells, or little bits of metallic things that are there to clang into each other. And she says, you just make sure your lot, those who have not been here before, have them tie one of these on to their ankles or wrist.
Right.
Right. Before they go to sleep.
Okay.
Oh. I better go see to Marvin. He's looking a bit worse for wear, and points over near the edge of a tree, and there's a bugbear that you saw earlier in the night who's got like a long arm against the tree and is just heaving his guts out onto the roots.
Well, I'm
too much in
playing.
Norman's ale.
Well, I'm playing bongo at the fire. Is Zimri? Is it Zimri on the
It's
flute?
Zimri, yeah.
Is Zimri with me still playing music, or is Zimri somewhere else?
So Zimri sort of like stalked off when you asked him if he would consider joining your crew and playing flute. He sort of like had to stalk off into the night and be alone with his thoughts. He was like, everything about him was communicating like excitement, but also like overwhelmed. Like he needed to go be by himself and like, but he's not far off.
Okay.
And
well, whoever's left there playing. Oh, sorry, go on.
no, I mean he's watching actually. Yeah. So at this point, he's kind of calmed down and he's watching. But there are a few people there. If you're on the bongos, there was another couple of folks who had like pan flutes and are kind of drumming along too. Some people who don't even play are just kind of like
classic bonfire get together. I'm just going to tell them all, everyone. It is that time of night where perhaps we need to play the music of love instead of the music of joy. Though they are intertwined, shall we slow it down a mite so that all those who are so inclined might enjoy the new rhythms? And I just drop in a low sort of, hip swinging beat, that really coaxes the heart out of its hiding places.
And Rain's dancing in front of like Finn and Broccoli, facing away from Alora, going.
I'm trying to find something swinging. This will have to do. Okay, so
we're setting the mood music-wise.
Yeah, go for it. Tell us what that's like. You've got a bit of a swing going. The older goblin man who's got a pan flute sort of tries to take note of this and keep on time, playing at the lower end of the register, just sort of hitting the odd trill and then letting the drums be on their own for a bit and then piping in just every so often.
Yeah, like a slow samba.
Classic clan gathering slow samba. These long-armed bugbears.
Everyone knows what time it is. It's slow samba time.
The older bugbear who was singing along vociferously with "The Glory of Love" earlier in the night is sort of standing there with a mostly empty mug and just kind of swaying, not in time to the samba that you're doing. It's just loving it sick. Just kind of drifting, kind of muttering to himself every so often.
The samba nights.
Here comes that lute.
So Alora was definitely not born yesterday, and he does know exactly what Jane Van are doing. Because we are sitting right, like not too far away.
What?
We're right there listening to the story. But I feel like both of us pretty clear about the vibe, so I might just be a little bit more direct in the conversation. And so I'll just say, Pringle, how is it that someone as kind and strong as thee has not a family of his own?
Oh.
Thou art most wonderful company.
Oh. I do thank you for the kindness that doth sit within those words.
Now neg him, Alora.
I did have
Shame about your teeth, something like that.
Long ago. I did think we might.
The mental messages.
But she were called to she had to go deeper into the mountain. She were of a different clan, and when it come time for me to ask her to stay with the Gantru, with us, I had not the heart to ask. Couldn't take her from home.
Sorry for thy loss, and even more sorry for hers.
'Tis a kindness in you, Alora. It's a hard thing to be far from home when thou art not accustomed to home being what moves with you. You are a mountain sort, sturdy sort. They stay put. Virtue and stillness, steadfast, deep down below. She were never one to move. Even if she would have said yes, I would always have feared she were sad.
Finn,
That's right.
I have an idea.
Pray lay it on my ears.
Is there anyone here that does lighten your heart and you feel you could kiss? Because one kiss creates more and the whole room will explode in love.
Thou art to say, if I am to kiss another, it will spark a kissing chain amongst the party.
That is how it works.
Does thou see anyone here for me?
Oh, what about him? Oh, or her?
Which didst thou not seek out bachelor? No, who was thou? It was number one. That was number one or number two. I pray thee pick one, and I shall. Attempt to perhaps, if my affection were a rose, I should lay it at their feet.
The two that Rain pointed to, you would have noticed, are a pair of twin hobgoblins, who at some point over the night you might have overheard addressed, confusing at first because they are named very similarly. One is Harlow, one is Harla, and it causes them both to look up whenever the first syllable of their names gets out, and then they let it be. But they're both quite tall, and built like athletes. Quite muscular. They have some rather nice weaponry with them that they've kind of let off to the side.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're quite similarly built.
They're quite fit.
Yeah, and they were definitely crowded around Fight Club, just loving it as well.
Who doesn't love Fight Club?
So I've noticed that Rain has stopped jiggling around and is now talking to Finn. So I know danger is coming, so I'll just to Brangle and I'll say, two thoughts spring to mind. I told thee earlier this eve of how much my friends do love a good jape, and I fear they may be up to mischief. Also, prompted by our discussion about the stars earlier, they are easier to see away from the firelight if thou wishes to walk.
Well, if thou art inclined to stray away from the safety of the fire, I would be remiss to let ye go alone.
In a forest, I trust thee entirely to keep us both safe.
Oh, then. He'll put out an arm.
As I start to see them walking, Budge will tap, just tap very, very gently, Brangle, and I'll say, "Oi, Gantru, make sure Alora has this. She's new," and I'll hand the charm.
Right, of course.
While he's doing that, I'm just going to pop into Finn's head. And I'm just walking with Brangle. I currently have no reason to believe that he is a secret agent of the Four Winds, and this will lead immediately to my abduction. But if it proves that I'm wrong, I will let thee know. But for now, worry not if thou seest me not.
Merry wanderings to you, Alora.
What a set of texts to get outside the club.
Yeah.
Always tell your friends where you're going.
And whether or not you think they're an agent of the evil orders.
I don't, but I might be wrong.
Like,
Wandering.
Alora doesn't need to tell other people that because no one else is thinking about it.
They weren't.
So funny. Yeah.
Finn's now like, what of shit.
Queen, Alora is leaving.
Rain, I would not worry about it.
Sweet.
So, yeah, go for it.
I'll just sort of like, because I imagine Alora wasn't far, I'll just continue on to Broccoli, Finn, and Rain.
I am not wearing a bell.
Oh, you didn't. Look, you don't.
I am not a livestock for you to own.
Oh, yeah. Just to remind me, Adam, these are like charms, like safe charms. Like, would Budge still have one of these?
So, you probably wouldn't, but you would remember early days, and it's probably more like not remembering for yourself, but you probably would remember when this had to happen to Zimri or Heli, Heli being the youngest, probably. The first time you come into the Moonwood at night, and it's usually with kids because they're the ones that haven't been there yet. You tie one of these around their ankles. And it's meant to be so that you can hear them if they wander off during the night. Because sometimes, well, people go sleepwalking. Moonwood's a funny place. Every so often you hear about people wandering off in their sleep. Just in case.
It's just a precaution, all right, Rain? Like, you don't want to vanish and be one of those moon people that we never hear from again.
I am not a child.
You are a child.
I am not a child.
I mean, you're on the cusp of childhood.
I am an adult. I cannot believe that you still think of me like that. Rain's like running away crying.
Okay, Finn, Broccoli, please, would they wear these little charms? They're just to make sure that your first time in the Moonwood.
Look at these bells. Big boy bells. Oh, I love a big boy bell. Oh, I feel so grown up.
I still have mine somewhere. And she won't take it from me, but would one of the just please get Rain to wear this?
I'll give it my best try.
Thank you, Broccoli. Right. I'm gonna lie down for a bit.
Rain! Rain, where art thou? Rain, cooey! Rain, Marco! Marco, Rain, Marco!
Leave me alone! I am going into the forest to die!
No, you're gonna say Polo! Say Polo, so I know you are, Rain!
No! Go back to your bongo drum!
No, I have said to thee, Marco! And thou hast agreed that when I say to thee, Marco, thou shalt reply Polo, no matter what the circumstance. This is agreed upon. Thou hast agreed most solemnly. Ah! I hear where thou art, and I shall find thee. Ah, Rain, Rain, Rain! Oh, what furrowing of brow is here? What causes thee such consternation, Rain? We are at a party that, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like is on the cusp of becoming a kissing party. I've seen some real vibes. And why art thou troubled when thou art in the midst of a kissing party? Adjacent. Almost a kissing party.
Rock.
Aye, Rain?
Do you think of me as a child?
Thou art young of years, and yet old of appetite. Thou craves all that the adult world has to offer, and thou can consume more of it than most adults can. I mean, I've never thought of thee as young, and yet in years surely thou art. But years are not all that makes a person who thou art. Surely all that thou hast done accrues thee more than a calendar can. No, I think of thee not as a child, Rain, but thou still hast much to learn, or don't we all?
Aye, we do. Huh. You have
But
gladdened my heart. I have another argument left for it to beat. Huh, not with you.
Oh, this is good. But Rain, we are guests here in this forest, and it is custom that those who are here should wear these grown-up bells.
Broccoli, have you not seen only the youngest wear them at this party? The youngest of children. Why should I be strapped down? I cannot wear it, Broccoli. It is embarrassing and shameful.
Nay, Rain, for in terms of this location, we are young. We have been here but not even a day. We are newborns in these woods. And so we wear the bells to signify that we are new to these lands. Obviously, we are not children, and yet amongst these woods we are as innocent as such, for we know not the customs here. And we wear the bell to say that we are newcomers, and they welcome us into their tribe. It is just a welcoming signal that we should embrace.
No. And Rain just walks off back into the campsite.
Mm-hmm. Broccoli, just off behind you, there's a little bit of a scuttling sound, and you hear in your mind, "We are going to have to watch her, aren't we?" Where Bastion scuttles up next to you and kind of nudges you with one of his hairy legs.
Aye. Bastion, do you want a big boy bell?
For me?
Aye. It is customary for all who are new to the lands to wear the big boy bells.
I like the sound it makes.
Yes. Here. This is for thee.
Okay. Are you giving Webastion Rain's bells?
Yes.
Okay.
But she has
yeah.
rejected them. And wants them not.
He accepts them tied around one of his big hairy legs.
Yeah.
And then sort of like has a bit of a test run where he like scuttles back and there's like scuttles forward every which way, and then he starts going.
Oh, this is good. We're Belstian.
Oh. Here am I reborn.
It's
Alora.
so far from Sebastian. It's so mutated.
It's
You
evolving.
can't even.
It's evolving.
In a year, it'll just be like Fred.
Why is he named Fred? Oh, don't start.
He cries bread.
Alora, Brangle has actually sort of, at least on the surface, maintained the ruse here and taken you just nearby the edge of the forest. There is a bit of a rise, or the edge of the clearing rather. There's a bit of a rise and a gap in the trees where you do indeed have a better view of the starlight. So, Alora, I'm afraid a gift re-given seems less good, but I will pay your compliment back to ye. You have traveled far and seen much. There's no Mr. or Mrs. that doth seem with thee to be.
I'm in a similar boat to thee, if I may take a pun from my homeland, that there was once a love in my life. He has unfortunately passed on from this realm some 10 years hence.
Oh. I am dreadful sorry to hear it.
Just reach over and squeeze his hand and say, I thank thee for thy concern, my friend. It speaks volumes to thy character. But worry not, it is a fond memory now, not a sad one. And then I'll just kind of forget to let go of his hand.
Yep. Noted, accepted, gone with. He's gonna say, sometimes now I can think back on those fonder times, and it's not so sharp or soft and warm. And on warm, he'll
even a long time ago, to know what it is to be loved and to love someone.
That old knife comes back sometimes, though, doesn't it? Still cuts. You don't handle it just right.
I have lived longer than appearances would suggest, and I've had a lot of practice in dealing with that particular knife.
Longer than appearances suggest. 25.
And a century. I am, and one, like the elves, we are of the long-lived races. So I know Ichabod here is esteemed greatly for her age and veneration. She is unfortunately still much younger than me.
What a wonder that is. A century. What you must have seen.
Most of Eorn. I have traveled much.
Not even the imagination to dream of what all that must be.
It is easy when thou lived long to enjoy individual moments, such as this one. Worry not about the long term.
You're enjoying this moment, aren't you?
I am.
As am I. He's leaning closer.
Yeah. Likewise, received.
About to be a kissing party.
Oh, he did forget me. I were here to look at stars, but I'm not worried about my view.
Neither am I. Now, lean in.
You'll lean in too.
Kissing party.
Kissing party.
Losing it.
Budge, you've gone to lie down, is that right?
My bruises still hurt.
Yeah,
From the fight.
for
And
sure.
my hands, I was punching chainmail. I'm saying this to anyone. And but just a drink.
Yeah. Hearing you grumbling, there is the sound of soft footsteps, and then a plump and a kind of sound as Pelly sits down next to you. She hasn't been making much of an appearance tonight. Seemed just kind of always off to one side or another, not talking much. She just sits there quietly next to you.
Right. Where's your badger?
Kind of gestures over to the edge, and there's a big mound of earth just outside of the range of the firelight, and what would one assume would be a pit behind it. He's bedded down, he has grubbing like as not. And she kind of takes out one of her daggers and puts it on the earth and sort of is kind of like spinning it, and then we'll like pound it into the earth a little bit, and then take it back up and spin it. Hits it harder into the dirt.
How are they doing? You got back
Fine.
on? That's good.
Of course it is. How are you doing?
Pretty crazy, if I'm honest.
Took a pretty good beating, you did.
Oof. That weren't much.
Looked like much. Much to the left, much to the right.
So much right in the center. You want to
She,
see something? Oh, sorry.
She paused. When you say that, she pauses right before she's about to smack that dagger into the ground again. All right. What?
You've heard about dragon teeth before, right? Dragon scales.
I heard about dragons. I know they got teeth and scales.
Well, let me show you a trick. And I open my cloak, and I pull out the bag of holding from the secret pouch I have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just like open it. There's a black sort of void hanging over it, and I'll say, go on and reach in. Think about a dragon's tooth.
Better
No,
not
if
be
they
a. You
don't wanna
better
do
not
it,
be
no,
a
that's
snake
fine.
in
No,
that bag, Budge.
If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, and I'll start putting it away.
All right.
Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Something in there bites me. I'm giving you one to the nose to match the other two. She's gonna reach in. You see her closing her eyes. She's kind of like moving her lips, like she's talking to herself a little bit. And her eyes go real big. Budge.
You go on. I'll pull the bag down.
And she looks at her hand and then like drops it, and then sees it down there on the ground next to her dagger where it's stuck in the earth. She'll pick it up and is totally absorbed in it. Or like runs a finger along one of the contours, digs her claw into one of the creases where the tooth is partially fractured. There's a groove. And it's been fresh gummed, that has.
Boy. From a black dragon.
Oh, I smell bitter. What do you do?
You had to guess.
No, you haven't.
Not without help.
Your lot.
Boy.
She holds onto the tooth, and then she just, without a word, kind of like lunges forward and gives you this really tight hug. Just like around your upper
Go
chest.
back. And I'll just say, just as we're hugging, you know I miss you. Every day. Go on. If I'd have known what was happening to you in there, I would have been there for the first day. Sorry it took so long.
She lets go, and then she seems like maybe a little bit embarrassed, but like kind of sits back a bit again.
Budge is a bit teary-eyed.
You don't know what what he made us see. Fornan fixed it.
If you don't want to speak about it, you don't have to.
Right.
But I do want to know.
You were like... You were like it always changed. You were like it knew what I were afraid of. Were like... monstrous.
But we're the same thing always. We're changing.
Horrible. He had hooks for his hands. We still see him nights. Sometimes.
It's good you're on back with the road truce. You must never forget. This clan hunts monsters. Right?
Right.
You're safe now.
She looks away for a little bit, and then she looks back and kind of like jabs you one in the upper arm, but not as hard as she normally would. And she says, "You better tell your tale about this dragon soon, or we're gonna beat it out of you." And then he gets up and kind of stalks off, but she has the dragon fang with her. She's left.
Matter, he's like a 1,000. Probably should have asked.
So, Cane Band. Do any of you have any other items on your to-do list this evening before you bed down?
Can't hear you, Rain.
Where is Pete?
Peeves has been doing very well for himself. This is a situation that Peeves has not had in a long time. He has been eating Budge's handouts or fending for himself for weeks now. And then longer before that. He is taking every chance he gets to sad puppy eyes an unwary bugbear, or to just straight up take food off of plates when they're left on the ground.
He's such a dog at Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely the case. He's at this point, well before Budge ever went to lay down, he's lying down just outside of the sort of immediate range of the fire, and is like stomach bulging, tongue lolling out of his mouth, snoring loudly.
Rain cuddles up with Peeves and passes out.
The rest of the Harutru clan and the Gantrus who are there are starting to do the same. The fire's got some low embers burning still. There's a few old stalwarts sort of sitting there talking nearby where you were playing the bongo earlier, Broccoli. What were you about to say?
Is Zimri still there?
Zimri has come back closer again and is sort of just sitting quietly near the fire, like with his arms wrapped around his knees, folded up, just looking pensive at the embers.
I collapse my bongo and I'm packing away, and I get out my my book of love, and I'm like, Zimri, good sir.
Oh, hi. What's that then there, Broccoli?
What knowest thou of love? I'm trying to scribe all I know of love, and yet I realize now I should not just speak of love from my narrow perspective, but should seek others' knowledge on the subject. For I hope once I have transcribed all that there is to know of love, that perhaps our friend Glee can return from her cursed booked form. Long story, thou needs not know about that now. But
I'd love to know more about that.
Oh, the things we've seen, the things we've done. Oh, Zimri. Being part of the Magical Cane Band, I don't want to harp on about it, but it's non-stop adventure. Anyway, what I do need from thee is, what knowest thou of love, Zimri?
Why,
Here's an example. Here, I have written here, love is like a cushion. one might have one that is comfortable and lovely, and yet thou takes it for granted and gives it away, thinking that there are many cushions like this, and yet thou searchest endlessly for a cushion that will be its equal and finds it not. Such is love.
I do like that, broccoli. Oh, it is not as grand, but it is warm. It's a nice feathered place to lay your heart.
Oh, yes. Oh, Zimri, this is well spoken. Thou has a poet's heart.
Oh, I've yet to find a good cushion for that poet's heart. I do think love must be like... I think it must be like a great fire and a distant lady. I think it doth consume and it doth kill. I think her eyes are like glass blades, black with fire of yearning.
Oh.
I do think its fires be like cold flames.
Oh, wow.
that do freeze where they tickle.
Oh, no.
And they're no balm for that burning gaze of the lady.
Who hurt thee?
I do think it is infinite and full of splendors.
What is... Oh, yes.
I do think it is tiny and can't be caught like a pixie of a spring night.
I've got to break this down into like 18 different chapters, Zimri. This is...
Oh, you should not be tutored by me, Broccoli. I know not. I'm only spouting of fountain of untried youth. And then he throws a clump of dried grass he's been plucking up out of the ground into the fire so it flares to life for a little bit.
Oh. Zimri, thou hast been burnt by the fires of love, methinks. Scars there yet to heal completely.
Broccoli, I fear I fall in love every day.
Thou has a performer's heart, a poet's soul. Thou canst not help but fall in love with all thou sees and all thou meets. Oh, the world is there for the poets such as us to feast upon. Thou just needs an outlet for these yearnings that thou hast. I find that when I'm on stage in front of an audience, therein, the music to play and the stories to tell, it provides an almost cathartic release therein, that the love that burns within has an outlet so that it does not consume me. Dost thou feel consumed sometimes, good Zimri?
Like the very weeds I did throw onto these embers. And I've burned out just as fast. Broccoli, sometimes I feel as though my heart would burst through my chest. And sometimes I feel I know not where it is.
We all crave healing, good Zimri. And for me, the magical cane band is almost like a magical can band-aid. I put it upon the wounds therein, and I bleed not, for the magical cane band-aid has stemmed the flow of blood. The theatrical endeavors therein can be free to heal.
I think you must be wise, Broccoli. This night you've told me that real love is a cushion.
Aye.
And a poultice.
Ooh.
It helps you rest and heal.
Aye.
Here I am, talking of fires, stars, and forever. What know I of these things? I see my mother's, and he'll like gesture across the fire, and you can see over near Ichabod's tent, Esme and Saphira are sitting next to each other, just kind of like Zimri is sitting with their elbows on their knees, just kind of leaning. And Saphira is actually utterly relaxed. She's not upright like she has been the rest of the night, and she's laying her head on Esme's shoulder. And Esme's just kind of absentmindedly rustling her arm fur. Zimri nods his head at that and says, "That's no cold fire of a distant star, is it? Still, I want to see everything, Broccoli. Feel everything. When I play, it's like traveling far while I'm standing still."
Zimri, do you have a big boy bell?
What?
Big
Oh,
boy bell.
of course, no. I've not needed that since I were young. Anyone who comes here first time gotta wear it.
Yeah. Ritual.
Broccoli, try to remember your dreams. Do you usually remember your dreams?
They are misty glimpses, hard to hold on to.
Aye. Often such. I'll ask you in the morning. See if you do remember what you've dreamed.
This I shall do for thee, good Zimri.
Say 'tis where all the greatest art is born. On the wings of a dream. Oh, I think I'll off to find mine. But Broccoli, I would like to read your book of love one day. I think it will be a fine thing.
Well, when 'tis complete, hopefully it is fit to read, and will have freed the soul of friends lost.
That's what love always does.
Well said, good Zimri.
And then he'll wander off over to where his tent is set up. Plop down.
Budge is going to lament that he hasn't set up his own sleeping area. And so he's like, oh, I could just sleep next to Peeves. And he'll go and he'll see Rain there, and he'll just mutter to Peeves,
What will he say to Peeps?
"Traitor." And then he'll go and just curl up somewhere.
Yeah. That thing when you realize you've dumped all your laundry on your bed and you don't realize till midnight when you go to your bed. Like, oh.
100%. Like, he's bruised. He's like, he hasn't drunk enough recently that he's starting to feel hungover, but he's also really tired.
Yeah.
Wait, when Budge yells traitor, doesn't yell traitor, whispers traitor, Rain's gonna turn over and just grab his ankle and try and pull him down to both of them.
Budge will jump out of the way.
And cast Hunter's Mark.
And is this a surprise round? Is arrow already?
Rain's asleep. She just keeps on going.
Yeah. It's one of these
Yeah,
quick
one of
reach.
those. Oh yeah, come on, let's go back to sleep. Yeah.
And he'll just step over.
All right then. As you all bed down for the evening, there are a couple of folks from either Hurutru or Gantru who are talking about taking watches. So if you want to go ahead and just take your rest, you can. Otherwise, if you're up early or want to speak with folks on the watch, you can. But... Saphira is looking awake. She gets up from Esme eventually and goes and starts walking around the outside. But you can lay yourself down to sleep. And I am going to need everyone to roll a d4. I would need everyone to roll a d4 for me.
What's
Pick
going
up that
on?
bell now. Is
Finn
that
with a
good? Is
4.
that terrible?
It is what it
That's
is.
Finn. I thought it was me. God damn it.
Budge for the 3. Alora with a 4.
Oh, classic.
Bang with a 1.
Can I get a one?
Yeah, it's not a d20 roll, so it isn't a natural one that way. Okay, that's everyone, right?
Wait, did I roll?
No,
Broccoli
No.
did not.
Ah.
4.
The
It's the
4
4
gang.
chain. 4 chain. Okay. Okay, so that was Rain with a 1, Budge with a 3, and everyone else with a 4.
Basic brain.
Okay.
Better hope 4 is good.
Finn,
Yes.
you enter your trance, a kind of meditative state.
Yep.
And you have a bit of free reign as to how you imagine this usually goes for Finn, but the general sense of this is that you don't sleep properly. This trance is kind of like a zenned out state, but it's also an opportunity that you can sort of dwell through pieces of memories. It can be a kind of purposeful thing, or it can just sort of be a nothing state. But at some point in your trance, you feel a kind of pull at your attention that is not the same as the neutral cycling through the sort of spin cycle of your mind that this trance usually is. And you have experienced this a few times. One time pretty recently when you were called back to the cane band suddenly. But because you are a half elf, you actually have a choice here. You can feel that pull and let it go, or you can follow it. Up to you.
Finn wants to know what's going on, for sure. Nah, I'm having a sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I roll over.
Wait,
No,
sorry,
no,
which one is it?
I'm only joking, I want to know.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to check. And it is a peculiar experience. Like every day of your life, other than these few times this has happened, it has not been like this. You feel this pull, like a pull at your finger, and then a pull somewhere deeper, like at your navel. And then everything around you changes. The sort of neutral gray darkness becomes violet in its hue. And that violet eases into a more vibrant blackness. And that blackness becomes velvet in texture, and then reddens, and then parts. Curtains in front of you. You are standing on a familiar stage, in front of an empty house. You look to the left. You move to the right. You're certain that prickly feeling on the back of your neck that means someone is watching you. You have an audience. But you can't find them. Turn. And there's more curtains. In the back, it is an outdoor theater. In the round, or with a thrust, I should say, but a rounded sort of amphitheater. You turn, the curtains part again, and you're inside the Lewin Gate Theater in Orst. It's dark, the candles have been lit, and the audience is full. And they are silent, staring at you. you want to pick up your hands to take the neck and strings of your lute, because it's time. It's your cue. Your hands just can't move. Curtains close. They open again. This time you're in a different theater. Much, much smaller than the Lewin Gate, but impeccably decorated, covered with life-size portraits of dignitaries, fancily dressed aristocrats. And in front of you, several small tables laden with fine wines and foods. And there are finely dressed people, all descriptions, laughing loudly, talking. And this time you can play, but your lute makes no sound. And try as you might, they won't turn to look. And then the curtains close again and open again. And it's the first theater, empty, except for one person down in the groundlings area, clapping her hands very slowly. She looks like you. Alora, you were on a ship, bouncing, buffeted by a hard wind, spray coming over the side, hitting you from the left. You're not afraid. You hear a laugh, loud even over the sound of the wind. Sailors shouting to each other, and one voice over all the rest. Casually, you can see he's holding the wheel, one-handed, the other hand holding onto his hat as he laughs, mocking somebody's not effort nearby. He lets the hand go, and the wheel begins to careen to the left. He stops it with his other hand at just the right moment, letting the sail take full wind and then blast forward. And he's sunburned, and he's got crow's feet around his eyes, and flecks of gray on either side of his dark hair, and he's laughing in the wind. And then suddenly, the ship is empty. The sea is calm. The sky is gray. And you're standing at that wheel, your hand where his hand was. But the wheel is cold, like no one's touched it for many, many years. The sea is so flat it's like glass. You can see it for miles. There's no sun in the sky, it's only gray. You walk to the edge of the ship and look down. And looking up at you, hundreds of faces just below the water. Gray, flat water. Just staring with vacant eyes. And they're all his face. Broccoli. You're sitting high, high, high in the cold, thin air. You take in a breath, and it's not quite enough. You have to take in a bigger breath. It's still not enough, but just enough. Your armor feels heavy, but the air is cold and crisp and clean and pure. You can look down and see there's snow and ice all around you. But it's like you can see the whole world. The horizon is further away than it's ever been. It's brilliant pink red, as the sun surely will rise. You watch, and you watch, and it never quite rises. You're sure the pink flirts with gold and yellow of the sun about to overcome the horizon. You blink, it's the same pink. It's harder to breathe. You're waiting. And you wait. And wait. Until you look down and see that your hands are not your hands. They are blending into the mountain stone. You've grown a beard that has become stone, and connected to your chest that has become stone. And you cannot move your neck. You are just there, one with the mountain, watching. Budge. You open your eyes and you're here at camp. Peeves is muttering in his houndish ways, flicking his feet in a dream. Rain is too, grumbling, digging her fingers into the ground. You look to the other side of camp, and there's Esme and Saphira sitting by a fire. It's not embers, it's burning, but low. And they're speaking softly to each other. They nod to you.
Not back.
Would you go and sit with them? As you do that, you sit on the log next to them where they're sitting. And suddenly, it's like the log is part of you. You can feel the ground beneath it. You can feel your mother's sitting on it. But now it's like you're all connected. You can feel the ground beneath your feet. You can feel the air touching all of your 3 furs at once. A ripple in Esme's fur is like a ripple in yours. Taking a breath, and you feel 100,000 different flowers. Almost as though you're seeing them, smelling them all at the same time. You breathe out, and it's like you're touching so many petals, but your hands aren't moving. On your tongue is a taste of Lake Lewin, but also a cold, clear, pure taste, and a sweet, slightly spiced taste. It's 100 different tastes all at once, but they come together and they balance. And you don't have to know what they are. They're just there. And you're just there. And Esme and Saphira.
In this moment of feeling and of like sense that I get that spreads far, even though Budge would just have joy in feeling it, I think he would search as well for the wizard Vandermath. If his feet are touching grass, if he's breathing the air that I feel,
Okay.
if I can feel him in any way, his mind would wander.
Make a survival check. Me too. Take a deep breath. You call to mind his scent, what he's like. and you feel the world push you. You feel like a great hand almost gently but firmly cover your mouth and nose. It's Esme's hand, your hand. But you didn't put it there. She's looking at you and just slowly shakes her head. There's a taste on the tip of your tongue. Dank. The smell of marble, wet marble, and earth, stone, paper. Something familiar about it. And it's pulling you back towards Cadmus. But Esme continues to shake her head. Rain. You are in a dead sprint. The gray mottled fur of your forearms covered in muck and mire as you sprint and leap over a stream. Your claws dig into the wet earth again and kick it up behind you. You smell blood in the wind. You taste blood on your teeth. Your blood is on fire. It's like you have a fever. But it is exhilarating. You round a tree and the wind changes and your blood sings to you again. And you howl back, matching its pitch. But only you can hear the harmony. You leap up a tree. You can smell just ahead. You're almost there. If you just get to the next branch. You pause there, look out toward the end of the branch. There's something there, bleeding. You can see its eyes looking back at you, reflecting moonlight. But it's just a shadow. You're coiled and ready to spring. Do you go for it? All right. You dive forward, and your claws catch skin and begin to drag across that flesh. You know you have them. But then, there. It's gone again. Leaping back off the branch and plummeting down towards the earth, you hear it land and begin to scrabble off, sprinting. The breaths are ragged. It's a familiar cadence. Death rattle. You're so close. You keep chasing. You can dive down from this high branch and you know it's not going to hurt. And if it does hurt, it doesn't matter. You can leap, soar through the air, feeling small branches whip past you, and it's like you're flying. You land, and there's a sound of earth crunching and leaves cracking beneath your feet. And it's only a few more steps. Everyone is going to be awoken by an absolutely blood-curdling screech. High-pitched, loud, and long. And I think that's a good place for us to take a break.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good place.
Oh, it's pretty
Take
good.
take a break. Which means we're a little bit early on the break, but I feel like that's a break point. We'll take 15 minutes, so roughly 9:05, I'll say. We'll come back. Those of you who are watching, please get up, have a stretch, make yourself a tea. We shall return anon at 9:15 for a little bit more Shakespeare-inspired D&D. See you soon. We are back. Welcome, y'all, to the second half of our session for tonight of Bardic Inspiration, Dungeons and Dragons in Shakespeare style. It's a good time for a little reminder that we originally used to improvise shows live on stages in the styles, themes, and language of William Shakespeare. We had a golden moment where we got to do that earlier this year before the fourth, fifth, and sixth comings of the lockdown. But we are here because we haven't been able to do that for them. And then now we've been doing this for months now. Anywho, you can find Soothplayers at soothplayers.com and on all the media social as well at Soothplayers. And you can follow us here on our YouTube channel. Click that bell button below to be notified whenever we go live, which we do every Sunday at 7:30 with either the Magical Cane Band or the Headless Marys, our other group. You can also find us on Twitter and on TikTok at Bardic_inspo to keep in touch. But now we must return to the wee hours of the morning, or the middle of the night, really, of the 21st, becoming the 22nd of Snowbreak. In the Moonwood, our party has just been lost in a sequence of very peculiar dreams. However, you all awake to the sound of a high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. The scream of a child in horror, top of their lungs, absolutely throat-ragged screaming. Then you come to yourself. Having neared the end of your trance period anyway, I will say that you have completed a long rest. It is about midways through the journey of our night here. Everyone else, however, you are in the middle of things, bleary-eyed. Broccoli, your armor and everything nearby, however you normally sleep, you come awake and suddenly feel like you have limbs again, arms and legs. You have been like a rock. It's strange to feel the blood pounding through your limbs. Alora, you wake up and for a moment, you still see his face replicated all over in front of you. But as you blink your eyes, it fades into the dark camp with fading embers. Budge, you come to as well, nearby where you had plopped down, and you can hear a commotion, people getting up nearby you, scrabbling with their blankets to find out what's going on. And Rain, you come to at the edge of the clearing, and you are in a locked, almost like wrestling grapple with someone. You can't see who. You've got a mouth full of fur, and you are biting. And you can feel them scrabbling around you, and someone's going, "Ow! Ow! Stop it, you!" That is not the source of the screaming. Near the left side of the fire, there is a commotion where, yes, there is a group of people worriedly shaking a small huddled form as a tiny bugbear child is screaming, just screaming, so loud that it seems like it can't possibly be coming from this little body, and kicking and thumping their arms and legs up and down. The blankets are all torn asunder and wrapped around them, and you can see the familiar form from yesterday of Nosh, one of the bugbears from the mountain that you met, who likewise has kind of a brownish, gingerish hair. And she is screaming down at this flailing child. Patches, no, come, wake up now, wake up, stop it, stop it.
If I can see this and I can hear this, and it's not far from Budge, he will run to where this child is and begin casting protection from evil and good.
Okay.
Which, if the creature is possessed, charmed, or frightened, it gives them an advantage against any new saving that they would have to make.
What does it look like when Budge casts protection from evil? We've seen him do this.
It's the nut bush. He does the nut bush.
I think he burns incense. he takes a small.
It's the burn bush. He does the burn bush.
It's the burn bush. It's a nut bush. He burns.
Yeah.
Burning bush.
Yeah,
Okay.
he takes a small swath of some sort of incense of some kind and burns it above the creature he's trying to protect.
Okay, and as you get closer, Budge, you can see this kid might be 9 years old, like maybe less. It's a small bugbear even for that age, and she has got mottled brown and ginger fur, just like her mom, but it is like sort of patched, like she's clearly the source of her name, including one great big one on her face. Of a sprig of orange fur kind of covering this whole half, and the rest is a darker brown. And there are tears just streaming down the side of her face, and her eyes are screwed up, closed tight. But when you bring the burning sprig close, sort of run it down across.
It burns like very quick.
Yeah.
As well, like once he starts the spell.
Yeah. This gray blue smoke. Highly visible against the dark sky and in the light of the embers. It goes up, and then as Patches takes in a deep, sobbing, ragged breath, all of the smoke just comes straight down into her nose and mouth, and she goes rigid, and then her eyelids flutter open, and she's staring wide. And then she kind of convulses. And then she relaxes. Starts taking these deep, ragged breaths. Mom? And then Notch just bursts into tears. She grabs her and brings her up close and just kind of holds her head up into her shoulder and starts rocking back and forth. Saying, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. And then everyone's just sort of like sitting around there in silence until Esme comes over, puts her hand softly on your shoulder, Budge, and then just whispers, "You've done well."
Mm-hmm.
And then comes and sets herself down sort of between, like alongside you and Nosh. And Nosh is just like looking up wild-eyed at everything and everyone around, like convinced she's going to see who knows what. But then Patches speaks again. She says, Mom, I'm here. And Nosh kind of like pulls her back. You found your voice. Look at you talking to me. Come on, speak up, then. You don't have to say it's all right. And then she just sort of looks around at all of you and suddenly seems to realize that she's surrounded by people. And Esme looks around and says, why don't we give her some room now? Why don't we give her some room back up? And Saphira is kind of like ushering folks out gently, firmly, moving them away. Rain, You look up, and it is the very bemused voice of a bugbear that you would have seen going around the place last night. Her name is Val, short for Valena. And she has got you in a hell of a grapple. But you have definitely bitten into her forearm viciously. And she is like, she's holding on to you. She's like, you better hope that was just from dreaming. You gonna behave yourself if I put you down?
Yes.
She sets you down and kind of like brushes. You can see there's like straw on your shoulders. She brushes off, and then looks at you. Says, you back?
I am. I have never bitten someone.
Well, I almost didn't catch you. You're moving quiet as a ghost, like. We're only luck. Why haven't you got your bells? The rest of your friends did. They were going off crazy like, except for that big fella lying there like a lump of rock. The rest of them thrashing about like a symphony.
Lost it.
Come on. Something wrong with a child this way. Let's go back to the fire then. Get you something.
Can bugbears turn into werewolves?
Sure they can. I suppose the transformation doesn't look quite as stark as yours might. Don't you worry about me. Back at the sort of center of the campsite, Esme is speaking in hushed tones to Nosh, and Budge, you're definitely close enough to hear. Have the rest of you kind of come and gathered close to where all the action is? What are you up to?
I think when I woke up, I would have just turned to Finn and asked her what she saw, because I knew that she was on watch, like more alert than we are. Finn, what knowest thou of this commotion?
I know not, but what we have all just seen.
Yeah, then we would just watch together, I think.
Mm.
Now, you said I just found her voice. What do you mean by that, Nosh? Esme is saying. And Nosh is like listening but not listening, and she just keeps like rubbing Patch's shoulders and like picking up her chin and like looking at her in the eyes, picking up her eyelids and like making her stand near the fire where she can look at her. And then she turns to you, Budge, and says, "Thank you. I don't know what you've done, but thank you."
We ain't done much. We're a small charm. Bear off bad spirits.
If that what it is, then it's taken my baby.
I just look at Esme while Nosh is talking, trying to read her face. Like, does she know what's going on?
Yeah, make an insight check. The DC is pretty low. You know Esme very well.
But also, Budge isn't that perceptive.
Nice. Okay. Esme is just staring at Nosh. just looking. And she looks concerned. She's not speak. Since Nosh has turned to you to speak, she's just flat affect. Not having big reactions. Take that for what you will. Nosh is saying, Patches. She ain't properly spoke. Not since we had to turn to come here. I'll maybe and then she sort of just turns and looks back at Nosh and then back up to you, Budge, and says, it's hard to explain. Orthos, and she looks over to where the elder bugbear, who was kind of very drunkenly singing along earlier in the night, has slowly dragged himself over to the area, and he's looking a bit rough. He was sleeping pretty groggily, and he's like, right then, now you let's leave a mother with her babe, make sure everything's all right. She needs her mum. Come over here with me then. And he sort of gestures for Esme to come with him, and then, but also is like, says, all of you are welcome as well, those of you who are close by. Nosh takes Patches over and sits her on the other side of the fire, and she's got a little kind of rag doll that she gives to her, and Patches sort of takes and holds it tight, and is just sort of looking at her mum, looking really confused. Northos brings you all over there and sits down. Right, and spoke a bit about this with Esme and Saphira, but didn't think it would happen again here. We were meant to come to the Moonwood this season. Oh, it's been... maybe 20 winters since we felt called to come here. I was a much younger bugbear then. We would have gone up the mountain for the spring thaws, we would. That fresh melt. Some of the finest waters for fishing.
Oi, but what brought you down here?
We were a good ways up our trail. We bed down. Few of us had seen things. When you think not of it, and fire plays tricks on your eyes, makes dancing shadows of the trees. Stuff of tales. But I had the same. Thought it were a dream. Then I heard Arlo saying the same. Tall, thin creature, shadow, almost tall as a tree, walking fast. It's strange. Didn't have any hands. Anyway,
And he saw it.
I did and I didn't. We're there and it weren't. Dark like a shadow.
Or while you were awake.
Dreams first. Within of an evening, the last light of the firelight, I was sure I saw it again. Arlo too. Then everyone started seeing things. Not always the same, not always same time. Nobody slept well. We were trying to push forward and figured keep the path, you know? Always keep the path. We've seen strange things before. Then we lost a day. A whole day. Not one of us remembers it. We woke up, sunrise. Wouldn't have even known that we'd missed a day, except we were all so hungry, thirsty. That, of course, and Patches. You were awake, sitting by the fire, long dead. You were rocking, eyes wide open, bloodshot. She ain't slept. She wouldn't speak. She ain't said a word till just now. Now it's been a 10-day or more. That was it.
Were there tracks in the ground from what you'd been?
That's the thing. Strangest bit of it. There were tracks around the child. Strange, small feet. Going every which way. From her, all around the camp.
Small feet.
Tried to get her to make sense of it and tell us what happened. She wouldn't do it. She could nod her head, shake her head. That's how we found out she hadn't been asleep. Sun up, the sun down. I'm the eldest we've got now, and I ain't one for... I'm no leader. I've just survived. But I spoke to Harlow and Harla, and they agreed. We had to turn back. It only got worse when every night further up the mountain we went, so we turned back, came down the path. Some of us still remember the Moonwood, although many of us were little whelps, very much younger folks when last we came. We had the tales. We knew what to do when we found the edge, how to keep our way, not get turned about in that maze of trees. We sang the songs. The moon showed the way. I just thought we'd be safe from it here, whatever it was.
Oi. A reasonable thing to think.
Sorry we brought this here.
It is clearly not just you. You're not the only people have come here, right?
How would you mean?
Something's brought this many people here. I'd be surprised if it were many things.
That's the thing. Why? I mean, we, the Gantru, were going up that mountain. But, there's two other clans. that we met on the way. They had similar dreams. They just hadn't come as far as we had. So they turned back with us when they'd heard.
Right.
So it's the Gan true, and also the Bane true, and the Rockvalians. All of us off our path. All feeling a bit lost. I do speak true.
I believe it were what Ichabod said once. You're never really off your path.
Sick about that is. I'm sorry to hear her path took her where it did.
Thank you, Orthos.
No, you get
Was just thanking him.
Do it again.
is.
Thank you, Orthos. Oh, sorry. Thanking him.
Well, thank you properly.
Thank you, Orthos.
Better.
It's we who owe you thanks. It may be greater than many a life debt. Your hospitality here. I know. And then he's looking like he's about to stop Esme from saying whatever she's saying, but she puts her hand up. She will not be stopped. She says, "The wood belongs to no one. We do our best."
Should we claim the wood as our own? If no one owns it, I mean, I feel like that's sweet real estate. Should we? Do we own the woods now? Is that magical cane band woods? Is that what's happening? I'm just thinking that. I didn't say that out loud. I'm just thinking that.
As Orthos was talking about what was happening to the Gouchers, I would have wandered through the crowd until I found Brangle and just gone up next to him and just taken his hand and not said anything.
Yeah, he's he looks extremely tense, uncomfortable, but he's grateful. He's just staring at little patches.
Rain's looking for Finn.
Is it morning? Like, is the sun up?
It's middle of the night right now. Like we're talking like midnight, 1 o'clock a.m. Yeah, you'll have to go back to bed at some point if you want to finish your long rest. The moon is ever closer to getting full, probably within the next 10 days or so. But it's a clear night, lots of stars. Bit cool. Rain, you were looking for Finn.
Yeah. Finn,
Rain.
I am not sure, but I may have turned one of Budge's family into a werewolf.
I see.
I did not mean to bite her. I just was having a bad dream.
Art thou sure you did bite her?
I am
Is there-
sure I did bite her. I am just not sure if I will actually pass on the curse, for the curse is different in my blood. I am pretty sure she will not be a werewolf, but I cannot guarantee it.
Is it but when someone is in werewolf? Forgive me, Rain. My knowledge of werewolf lore is but limited to you and Broccoli. Wert thou a werewolf at the time? Or was it with thine own thanks?
I was a werewolf at the time.
Rain, that might be me not being clear. In your dream, you were wolfed out. but in reality, you are your halfling self.
Oh, never mind. Never mind, Finn. It's all good. I have woken now.
Shall I go and check? Does that wish me to ask some more questions? What? Are you sure you're halfling?
I am sure I am a halfling. For I am busy gazing at everyone's navels this whole night.
Rain, might I ask, dost thou often dream as though thou art a wolf? Is that something thou might do again?
Nay.
Biting people?
Nay, I am sure it was a once in a lifetime.
Then I believe you. Rain, I have had my restful meditation. You should go back to sleep and get thy full night's rest.
Hi, perhaps you're right. Is Peeves anywhere?
Yeah, Peeves got up with the screaming and was sort of nervously pawing around the outside of the group, immediately finding Budge for being close anyway, just kind of like doing the pointer dog thing as he was casting his spell and everything. But now he's kind of sensed everything calming down and has gone back to the fire, but it's not like sleeping. It's just kind of like Sphinx mode, just like up and looking.
I am also guessing Rain wouldn't have heard all of that because Rain would have been on the outside of the camp and then been coming back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would have missed the first chunks, but I think if you wanted to, you could have been there when Orthos pulled everyone aside for that part of the conversation.
Well, if I've heard that part of the conversation, I'm not going to bed.
Okay. Well, Orthos sort of rubs his eyes and says, I think perhaps we should all speak together of this tomorrow. Clear our heads to Rain. I think we all have some tales to tell.
And just turn to Brangle and say, it does look like the danger is past. It would be best if we return to our rest. Like all the same.
All right, then. You keep safe. I'm close.
Indeed.
Well, those of you who need rest, go back to your rest. You have other things to do.
I would like, I wanted to say that I forgot before the break, sorry everyone. But before I went to bed in the first place, I ritually detected magic on a flower that Esme gave me before dinner.
Yeah. So in that time, you would have done your ritual with your sort of jeweler's tools and whatnot, as you usually do. Your little eyes. The violet flower is shaped sort of like, it has a kind of, I guess it will depend on your frame of reference, which of these would occur to you first. But it's kind of shaped like a gravy boat, in that it's narrow and has a kind of curving bottom and a sort of flat, slightly curving top with its stamen and pistils and stuff sticking out. It has quite an elegant shape, sort of like deep curve and then another deep curve outward. It is vaguely crescent-like as well, and a kind of purple. It does seem to have a kind of something about it. In fact, make an investigation check along with your detect magic. This is kind of like a...
Sure.
You can either use investigation or arcana, I guess, but I think investigation is kind of more like what you're doing.
Use investigation.
22. Yeah. That Vidalcan feature. Handy. Okay.
Good.
So you're perhaps primed to notice this because of your experience with gemstones. But there is something about the contours of this flower that for a moment seems like it's reflecting light the way the facet of a gemstone might, like it's catching light. And you realize after kind of looking around a bit more, it's not catching light. It's more like it's pulling light. There's a sort of faint silvery gleam just around the contours, and just when you have it positioned just so that there's a dark background behind it, so it casts it into relief. Honestly, it looks like moonlight. Like it's pulling moonlight to it and having a faint shimmer around the contours of it. As far as detecting a school of magic, this is, again, the closest analogous experience you've had is when you looked at the corpse flower. It does not have the kind of whiff of necromantic energy that the corpse flower has, though. It is altogether unfamiliar, but certainly magical.
Mm-hmm.
There is a whiff, I would say. The closest signature you pick up is conjuration, which you know is the kind of magic which brings things from nothing, which is effectively what Esme did. You know, it's used for many different kinds of things, but that's one of them. But yeah, again, flavored differently, something strange.
We keep giving weird magical flowers to Alora.
Yeah,
Yeah,
developing quite the collection.
5 of them now.
Hmm.
Thank you.
No worries. So you've got that. Are folks going back to bed other than Finn?
Budge,
What are you doing?
are you...
What are you doing?
I was giving you a pat.
Thank you.
It's yeah. Sorry.
Hey, it's alright. It's worrying though.
It'd be nothing that the magical cane band can't sort out.
Try or at least try.
It has been a long time since I feared death.
When were the last time?
In that snake pit.
Oh boy, that did seem like we were gonna die, didn't it?
Aye, both me and Broccoli unable to fight.
Spells not working. Half of us in the water. Snakes with hands.
I was trapped in eternal fire. Just like when my parents died.
Are they alright, Rain?
I'm going to bed. Thieves!
Budge will, curious, wander to a spot where he's could go to sleep, where there's like a little bit of a sight at the moon and the stars, and he will try for the first time, because he's not done this before, to read the stars, and without him know it, use his ranger primeval awareness.
Tell me about what primeval awareness grants, Budge.
As an action, he can then dispels. So he'll start sort of like just trying to read, not even sure what he's reading, to sense whether there are any aberrations, celestials, dragons. This could have been really useful earlier in this campaign, guys. I'm sorry I never used it. I didn't know it was here. Dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead are present within 6 miles, since this is his favorite terrain.
Yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't reveal their location or number. It tells you. You just sense if they're present.
Okay.
Well, when you started, I thought it was just going to be you could tell us our horoscopes, but that's probably much better.
I can tell the horoscopes of the monster.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Do me a favor, Matt, and run off that list of creature types again. It's quite a long one.
Aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiend, undead.
Okay.
It's a lot of them.
Roughly how many of them are near us right now, Adam?
Within
That's
six
the ballpark.
within 6 miles.
Within 6 miles.
Okay.
1 mile normally, 6 miles in your favorite terrain.
Okay. Budge. A weirdly familiar sensation overtakes you. You're sitting there where you can see the stars. And much like you do when you engage with the power of the huntress, you can feel your awareness sort of reaching outward. Usually you do this when you're tracking things. You're trying to smell things on the wind, trying to feel the motion of things across the grass, listen for twigs snapping. You exhale, and then when you inhale again, you feel your feet against the ground, but it's like the ground is part of you. You breathe out, you breathe in, and you taste all of those flowers. You breathe out and you breathe in, and you can smell 100, 1,000 deer, squirrel, all of these very many creatures that are familiar to the wood that you've grown up around your whole life. You can, for a moment, it's as though you can hear all of their heartbeats at once. But then all of that warmth and connection snaps and goes to this crystal, cold, all-consuming focus. And all of that fades away. And all you see are the stars. And a moon, about 3/4 full. And the stars begin to move, blinking in and out, dancing amongst each other, taking different formations, forming the different kinds of creatures that you know are here. And then they change. The stars begin to, for lack of a better term, bleed. Some of the stars turn pink and then red, and then they begin to run brilliant red against the night sky, down into lines that begin to swirl together and form shapes. And then the moon becomes red as well, covered, tainted by this strange drip, the stars around it. And in that moon, you can see a face. Horrible, mangled, teeth like needles, and wide gaping maw. And next to it, another face. At an unnatural angle from the first. And for a horrifying second, you hear its ragged breath. Sound of gore and saliva slipping between its teeth. And you hear... And then all of a sudden, you are back. Your own self.
So
You
no
are
fey,
not-
fiends, or celestial or undead. Good.
You can tell two things. First, as there often is, in and around the Moonwood, there is always a flirtation with Fae. The exact number and location, fickle, like the moon itself, like those stars winking across the sky, dancing in so many different shapes. You couldn't pin them down. But there are absolutely fiends within 6 miles of you. Hard to say what precisely that means. But for the purposes of this, and you haven't done it before, and we've only danced around the metaphysics in some ways of this world, you're pretty sure that there are demons here.
Good thing. It's one of the worst things the moon's ever said to me in my whole life. Budge isn't gonna sleep. Budge is gonna keep watch.
Okay. Yeah, Budge can do that. And Budge
And
is
if
not
any of the
alone.
Cane Band are awake, he'll let them know what he's seen.
Definitely Finn. I don't know about Broccoli. What's Broccoli up to?
Yeah, when all the patch thing happened, I definitely went over to Patch after it all calmed down, and did a bit of laying on of hands just in case Patch needed some healing.
You can
I don't know
tell
if Patch did.
when you do that, and Patches will sort of like look at you a little bit warily, but Nosh will hold on to her, and she like says it's okay. Your hands glow faintly, and as you bring them close, just to Patch's shoulders, you can feel that there is no exchange of energy there. There's no hurt to be healed. I'm gonna remind myself about something.
And so I accidentally kill her. Damn it! I forgot about that rule.
Heal
It's
and harm.
It's a bug in the system. If you go above your hit points, you end up at -1.
Yeah.
Patch lays dead in your arms.
She explodes.
Damn it!
Yeah, no, I was just checking. I knew that there was an extra thing lay on hands could do besides just healing, and I want to refresh my memory, but it's to do with poisons and diseases.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, you don't feel like you don't feel a call to the power that's within you. It'd be like attempting to pour water into a full cup. Like you feel like, oh no.
I love pouring water into a full cup.
She is looking at you with wide eyes, though, staring at your glowing hands, and then like looking up at you.
You're cool. You're cool.
She kind of like gives this weird half smile and then kind of like buries her face into the fur of her mom's side.
Yeah.
Broccoli, stop terrorizing the children.
All right. Okay. Here if you need. Just checking.
Thank you, Nosh says as you go. Okay, so Budge is going to keep watch, and Finn is awake, having done with the long rest. So Budge, if you'd like to roll a perception check for your watch, you can, or you can have a chat with Finn, actually, depending on how you like
If
to go.
Finn's awake, Budge will come over to Finn. Oi, Finn. Did they have strange dreams?
Budge, I had the most horrible of visions, and I wish never to close my eyes again.
Oi. I did just a moment ago try to stare at the stars, and try and read them, as some can do here in the Moonwood. And I did have a sense. I believe that there are demons prowling about these woods.
Budge, I know that thou hast been troubled this evening about finding thyself, but I don't know, people put sway in reading the stars to know more about themselves and how they fit within this world, but I would not lay so much upon it. Demons?
I have looked at the stars and thought, oh, I did read into it in one way or another, but this were different. It were like the casting of a spell.
Ah, I see. And thou believes there is some evil.
Tied with me seeing that terrible demon, as I did say when it did appear, that took its form onto my face.
Ah,
And
yes,
it come to me and said that I would die this night. Tis no coincidence.
Ah, yes. We have not found it yet.
Nay.
It's a good point.
And a child wakes up screaming, and families say that they are avoiding walking through their ancestral paths for fear of creatures in the night. It's no coincidence either. So, if thee had strange dreams, and I had strange dreams, and this child had strange dreams, and I bet anything we weren't the only ones here.
It's true.
What did thee dream of?
Nothing but an empty stage. And an empty heart. And an empty hope. Which is fine. It's bit of vision.
An empty stage, heart, no hope.
Yes. We have all seen our own face this night, Budge, and methinks thou should rest.
Wait, did
some
thee
more-
see Dino face somewhere?
But I do not think it is
This
the same
confirms
thing.
it. No, it's confirmed. It is confirmed a demon that takes faces.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Budge, thou should sleep and
Sleep.
get rest before the morn, and I will watch for the rest of the night.
I cannot sleep now, no. I have pieced this together, and you must understand, when hunting monsters, pieces you must keep like they are pearls or diamonds, and you must connect them all together. Shall be on the lookout for a demon that takes forms. I shall go and talk to others and see if this lines up.
And I will watch to see if I see any changing form.
Aye. Good. Budge will go muttering away.
All right. So Finn, are you going to keep watch, and or Budge, or are you going to talk to other people? Okay. In that case, Finn.
Budge will like mutter to other like people, but nothing.
Okay.
He's not interrogating.
Sure. All right. Then you can roll a perception check then.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for the watch I said I was going to do.
It's more of a passive watch, he was saying. Like
You
a
can kind of
hanging
think
out.
about it.
Like a one eye open.
Like thinking about the regrets of the past.
I think that's called a crocodile watch. You put it after brain to sleep.
Oh,
Nice.
That adds up. That adds up.
no today.
That seems like the watch she was planning to set.
And you,
Watching my own fingers, just
Yeah.
like,
it's you. How does Finn keep her watch? Do you think? What would she physically do?
Poorly.
You can have a good watch or a bad watch, no matter what you're physically doing. Is she pacing around? Is she sitting by the fire? What's
yeah, I think she's usually sitting in someplace and she's like noodling around on the loot. And trying to just, but she's never really been a tracker or like any sort of. She's lived in the forest, so she's like, bird.
She's gone
That-
camping.
What am I watching for?
You've just shifted from The Bachelorette to a very different reality show than we thought you were going to be in. As you're sitting there, you would notice that one by one, folks seem to kind of nervously go back to their sleep, but a number of people have actually changed their sleeping arrangements. They've slid their bedrolls and stuff a bit closer. People are a bit more tightly packed. Patches and Notch are like closest to the fire, and then Harlow and Harla kind of set up on either side of them. And they, for a bit as well, seem like they're going to stay awake. But after, half hour, an hour, if that goes by, they'll eventually lie back down, noticing that a few other people are up and around. And there are others on watch. Everyone here is used to living in the wild. So as the night goes on, you'll see a couple of people over the next few hours switch places. And they seem to prefer shorter shifts with more people keeping watch. So for 2 of the hours that you've got left, you'll see a goblin and a smaller bugbear kind of walking on either end of the camp. What might take some of your focus, actually, Finn, from actually looking elsewhere, is that Ichabod is sitting up. She seems to have waited until Esme and Zafira have gone to bed anyway. But she is seated in a kind of meditative pose. And very still. And with surprisingly erect posture, given how she usually is. She is just eyes closed, taking deep breaths, and sitting still in front of her camp, in front of her tent.
Okay. I didn't want to disturb her if she looks like she's within. But maybe, yeah, I get a bit distracted watching her for a while.
Yeah, it's odd. She looks almost vigorous, given how slow and kind of decrepitly she has been holding herself for the last day that you've been here. On occasion, if you're watching her, you'll see that she seems to kind of react like she's dreaming. But she remains still. When dawn is close to breaking, in fact, and as everyone else is slowly kind of coming out of their rest, just before that, in that kind of pinkish gray twilight, just before the sun comes up, you hear a sort of low-pitched hum and realize it is coming from Ichabod. As almost out of pure silence, there's this trickle of sound that gradually gets a little bit louder, a single tone, perfectly pitched. Holds it for a very long time. And then her eyes open. She's looking at you. And then she sort of slumps. She looks exhausted. Nods to you. Sort of picks herself up slightly. Slides back over to her bedroll. And lies down. The rest of you can click through to your long rest. It is the 22nd of Snowbreak. Another day in the Moonwood. Your first full day, I should say.
Has it been a full day? Or
Has
it been
not.
2 days?
It has not been a full day in the Moonwood.
But I mean, like, is it clear that we've
Ah.
fallen asleep and we've woken up, or have we lost a day?
I see. Well, people have been awake on and off throughout, keeping watch. Finn has been up for the last bit, so I mean, you'd have to maybe go ask people. But actually, Budge, did you stay up all night?
I reckon Budge fell asleep. Just out of being tired from
Yeah.
the insane evening.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wild one.
I think he would have tried to stay up, but he would have fallen asleep.
Sure.
Oh, I beat someone. Oh, I need to drink less ale.
Norman,
Oh.
you'll hear echo you from the other side of the clearing. Oh, ale. Talk not to me of this fell beast, ale. Oh. He'll gurgle and roll over.
And I think probably in the night when Finn would have noticed Laura was one of the people whose bedroll ended up closer to somebody else's than it was earlier. But I go looking for Budge.
You'll find him in a sort of a posture of surprised sleep.
Is he awake?
Aye.
I'm not going to wake him up. Budge. A task of urgent business.
Alright. What?
I need for thee to briefly hold open the bag of holding. What I am going to do is set up my interdimensional space with the rope trick. I will take the stone that we know is unsafe to be on this plane with me into that place for the hour duration that I may, and study all that I can. Thou mayest keep the bag and maintain contact with me while I do so, but I will need thee to meet me here in the span of an hour, that when I return to this plane, I can immediately give the stone back to thee, but it must be secret and fast. Budge.
You're getting in the bag and then going up a rope.
I'm reaching into the bag and going up the rope, and they will meet me back here in an hour so that I can return the stone to the bag.
Right, okay. You're going up a rope, you'll drop the stone in the bag, and then I'll meet you back here in an hour.
Just come back in an hour, Budge, and I'll just reach into the bag, pop the rope trick up, and I'm disappearing. And so I got some space to study the Godstone where the material plane people can't find me.
Okay. Do you put this plan into effect now?
Yeah, I've told Budge. So.
Gotcha. Cool. So that happens. You put your hand into the bag of holding and you find the piece of Godstone or Ascalite, the rhyme of reason, we should say. And then you clamber up or into your rope trick space. And quick as a fiddle, there you are. You're in your little steampunk library, as we described it last time, in a way. And you have this hour. So, Alora, what are you doing in there?
I've got an hour. I'm doing three things. First of all, I'm as a jeweler, just inspecting it, everything I can that a jeweler would do with any other regular gem. Its weight, its density, impurities, crystalline structure, anything, the size, because if I'm going to make a box for it to house it, I would hate to make the box a tiny bit too small. That would be dumb. So I'll make sure I've measured all the angles of it so that I get the right size box. I'm just getting all the information I can as a boring piece of rock.
Okay, so make an investigation check.
You discover Budge swapped it.
I got a rock. Okay. Even a rough day at the office for Laura is a pretty good one by average standards. This is a strange stone, and you've had a chance to look at it a few times before now. You can very handily sort of get its dimensions noted properly in your notebooks, so that you've got those on hand for later. You can note, as per usual, excuse me, it seems to have a kind of pink violet hue, and it looks rough. It is like it's not finely shaped, but it has been shaped. It's a strange thing. To your eye, it sort of looks like some other jeweler's eyes were a bit too big for their stomach, as it were. Like you took on a real ambitious project here, and it's got clouds in it. It's some parts of it are not perfectly faceted, and so it's not always smooth in each of those places. It has been worked, and you can, with your tools as well, sort of like taking the measure of it a bit, sort of like, this is tough stuff. You've worked with diamond. It is at least as hard as diamond. If you were going to take a quick, like, just sort of exploratory press at it, like, it doesn't seem like it would bear a mark, even under extreme pressure or sharpness, like. Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to improve any of the badly cut facets.
Hard to say. It's real hard to say. Looking at it, it would be a hell of a job. Even like if you just presumed this was a normal hunk of gemstone of some kind, it would be a challenge to look at it. It's like, woof, this is a tough row to hoe, this one. But you'd actually have to take a crack at doing it to know for sure what the outcome to that would be.
I retroactively say before I started any of this that I took off Banks's ring and put it really far away so that there's no chance that it's going to come into contact with death.
Okay, where would you have put it?
Life cycle and resurrection and death, and I don't want to risk any chance.
I'm just back there. Banks just climbs down the rope.
Where would you have put the ring?
Just, far enough away that I can still reach it, but on the floor of this my library, but that is definitely not going to come into contact.
You don't want it to make physical contact with it.
No.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you can pretty quickly gauge that a bit, but it's puzzling. It's hard to get the read of other than physical dimensions and stuff.
Next up, if I've sized it up physically, magically, so out come the identify goggles. I might try putting small infusions in it, like just poke around magically, trying to learn anything what I can about it.
Okay, so you're casting Identify on it? Right. No, it's not coming. Let me pull up what you'll learn. I will send it to you.
Ooh, secret knowledge.
Secret.
You'll have to kiss Alora to find out the secrets.
And to do that, you've got to start a kiss storm.
Okay. Now I hope that. Actually, let's do it this way so that you. If you can't see it when you click this link, I'll go by a different means.
Oh.
That should work.
Is it on here or Facebook?
That's on the messenger thread.
I find Out Loud is very reliable.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So
that does that not work when you click it?
No, the rhyme of reason.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, but I already have it in my inventory, so I knew that much.
Cool. So this is the sort of thing that Identify gives you. Well, for one of the things that it gives you anyway, is if any spells or things like that are on it. So you've got what it does as it is now. So you know what happens if you attune to it, which does take an hour of being open to that. You know that it is a powerful artifact, and that it is positively gleaming with something that is beyond any school of magic. And there it is, like almost blindingly gold. The light, the sort of aura of magic that comes from it as you're working your way through your different spells. If you were doing Detect Magic as well as Identify. The strangest thing about it is that looking into it, looking for a particular school of magic, you actually see, for a moment, all of them. It's like a layer that becomes crystal clear inside of its depths as you're looking at it. Those clouded, rough edges, they're not actually clouded. What they are is almost an impossible number of tiny facets. From a distance, they're like clouds, but up close, like little drops of rain. Little pieces, fragments, perfect in their shape and in their interlocking nature, repeating almost in their structure, like fractals, but then changing when you move. And it's like you think you have it figured out, and then you move on to another place, and did the crystal move? It can't have moved. It's a crystal, but it seems like it has. It is strange, and you have to pull your eye away every so often because of the sheer brightness of it when you have the tech magic going. You've done detect magic and identify, but you said something about infusions as well. What did you mean by that?
Well, because I can infuse the object, so I'll just kind of poke around at the edges of it. But there is a third thing that I want to try, which is potentially ill-advised. Alora doesn't do dumb things very often, but I'm too curious. I'm going to try something that might end real bad.
Okay. Go
Yep.
for it.
I'm going to see if I can. This technically might not. It might just go. Nothing happens. But I'm going to shift my manifested mind from the glass bead in my pocket to the stone. Yep. Folks at home, I'm going to link my mind psychically to a piece of a god and hope that I know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Villain backstories, man.
I don't want to die, but I might. Nothing. Also, poof, nothing might happen.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
might.
don't even try. So
Now-
the boat will just go out of existence, and then I'll try and bring it back.
Now,
Roll for
Alora,
stupidity.
Alora, you know that your manifest mind is meant to be in a mundane object. That's that's how it works. That's why you have your glass bead. Sometimes it's other little trinkets.
Mhm.
But you give it a go. You follow the same process. You have your jeweler's tools out, and as that little glass bead clouds suddenly, and then goes back to crystal clear, just glass. And you attempt to channel that piece of yourself, that tendril of your psyche, reaching out through your arms and hands, through the very tools that you're holding, which are your focus for your magic. You can feel your tool like it's a part of yourself for a moment. And then everything changes. You do not feel your body. Your hands, your fingers, the air, even in this insulated interdimensional space that is so kept from the outside, all of that changes. There is no temperature, and there is every temperature. You can see the entire campsite, and then you see the tops of trees stretching for hundreds of yards, miles, hundreds of miles. You see Lake Lewin, you see an undulating swamp, you see a mountain range, you see in the distance Forest, and then you see the Dawn Guard. All of it from above. It's incredible size and scope, and its ice spire like a knife going through the sky. And for a moment, it's silent. And then there is a cacophony of noise, an absolute chittering, like being in the middle of a hornet's nest. But every one of these several tongues and voices that is speaking to you is speaking in a language, and you can understand. You hear them, but you don't hear them one at a time. You hear them all at a time. all of them, loving and laughing and raging and screaming and dying and being born, and you can feel all of it like you are hearing it in your mind. Alora, I need you to make an intelligence saving throw.
Yes, you do. I'm gonna die.
Nah, I feel like intelligence. That's
Yeah.
well within your wheelhouse.
Surely have like advantage on that.
I do, yeah.
Come on.
And like plus a million. Oh, but we've all been rolling separately today.
Number 1. Come on, dice. Uh-oh.
You asked for it. You said number 1.
Okay, second one.
Yes.
What happened last time? I'm dead. I'm
Almost
gonna-
happened twice. Okay,
That's dead.
12. Okay. Alora, these raging, loving, laughing, listening, aging, screaming voices, all of them at once, you hear them, and it is overwhelming you. For a moment, you actually feel like you are experiencing the information overload, the thing that you can do with your manifest mind to others. And in fact, I'm going to need you to roll information overload against yourself.
That's fair.
So the damage that you would normally inflict with that as psychic damage, you're going to receive.
I'm like, I'm just the damage.
Just the damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. 800 d20s.
So it's not great. That's not bad.
Hey.
9 points of psychic damage. Then,
Alright.
Laura, you're
That's-
going to take. There's a moment where you feel that crunching of your awareness, the overload of data that is actually, it feels like it is expanding your mind past the limits of your body and threatening to break free. You have a choice. It's strange to have a choice. You don't even feel like yourself at the moment, but you do. You can feel tethered to this awareness, and you can let it go, have it all fade away, or you can hold on, try again. But you know, if you hold on, it'll be worse. What do you do?
You guys might remember that time Alora did a real dumb thing.
She never does dumb things. That's her thing.
She's going, we have a saying in the Snowdrop House, thou must risk it for thine biscuit. I will.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yep.
Going again.
So here you go. Make that intelligence save at advantage.
Come on, Matt Day.
This is a good
Can't
time
be-
to shout out Matt Day, our technomancer in residence. The reason we get these crazy cool virtual dice, that is a 21.
Here comes
I
the
like
next
what's
one.
going on
Roll
there.
again if you like. Roll again if you like.
Oh,
You've done it.
screw that.
21. 21 is our jam. That is a success. Alora, you feel it threatening to blow your mind apart. Like a feeling as though you are maintaining your grips on awareness itself, and you are just going to become all of these voices instead of understand them. And then you find it. Like the ledge of a mountainside or the thread of hempen rope, you cling to it, and the voices begin to drop away. Some of them in languages you've never heard but understand. Then it is calm. Your vision blurs, and you are standing on a hilltop. There's a warm breeze. The sky is a perfect cerulean blue, the bluest blue you have ever seen. There's no sun, only sky. It's warm, but not too warm. Surrounding you is green grass, but ahead of you, golden, ripened wheat. The finest wheat you have ever seen. Tall, shining in this strange warm light. It looks like its husks are ready to burst. They're so full and fresh.
Yeah.
You look closer, and across that wheat shafts and the husks of its grains, almost invisible, a fine weave, gossamer, silver, the web of a spider, moving from shaft to shaft, wheat to wheat, covering so much of it that is in front of you. In your hands, when you look down, there's a gnarled staff. And at the edge of that staff, a long, curved stone blade. Cut! Voice behind you. And then another and another. Cut! Cut! Cut it down! Cut! Cut it down! They sound overjoyed, excited, curious. Quieter in front of you as you heft up that scythe and hold it high. There's a whisper from within that golden wheat. But you don't hear it. You feel it through your feet. Cut, whispers the wheat. Cut me down. Then on the wind, from that silvery thread, different tenor voice all together. Cut. Cut me down. And shining black as obsidian, 8 round eyes hidden in the shadows of that wheat. You begin to bring that scythe in a perfect crescent arc. And your awareness again threatens to unravel. There is intense heat. It becomes intense cold, and everything stops. And it is as though the air is made of honey, thick. Your grip on this experience is fading. You want the rest of that biscuit? You're going to have to make another intelligence saving throw.
Going to have to risk it.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh, dude.
Rough
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Rough go
Oh,
at
it's
the
alright.
first.
It's alright. It all comes down to this. It all comes down to
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I'm not. No one's worried. No one's
Yeah,
worried.
why worry? Oh. You've done better.
Alora,
It's a biscuit.
Yeah.
the staff in your hands. You're trying to swing it forward. You feel your arms moving, but the air, thick like honey, begins to fill your eyes and ears and mouth. You can't breathe. It's running down your throat into your lungs, your stomach, but every piece of you. Until everything fades. Blackness overtakes you. And you find yourself back inside of the extra dimensional space of your rope trick. Alora, you are going to take 1 level of exhaustion.
Okay.
You are drained. You can suddenly feel your fingers and toes again, your shoulders. It is as though you have run 10 miles without stopping. But it's not your muscles that are fatigued. It's an effort to look at things. The light shines almost too bright, even in this low ambient lighting of this space. The neutral temperature of this space is too vivid. Everything at once is assaulting your senses, and the usual flow of time through your memories, it seems like a torrent instead of an eddy. You almost can't stop what you're thinking about. Flashes of what you've seen just now, memories of your own life, the blend of them that is happening. It's that same kind of fatigue you've had after long hours of working or studying. You need rest. And there's the stone in your hands in front of you. You have not manifested that as a mind, to say the least.
Going for the best.
There it is, just like it always is.
No, so I'll sit there and I'll just go, oh, Budge, art thou there? Oh.
Has it been an hour?
It is closing in on the end of Alora's hour, but she can speak to you telepathically from in there.
Yeah, Budge will try and find the tree that he left.
It would be a bit of a trick, given that it's pretty much invisible. Alora, you can see through the sort of peephole. After, like, it takes an effort, but you can hear and see Budge rustling around down there.
Hold the bag open.
Oh, all right.
And then I'll drop the rope, tumble out, and just shove the stone straight back in the bag. And then just put it down.
Alora, Budge, looks wrecked. She looks dark circles under her eyes. She, like, slumps against you and next to you.
Oh, you look terrible.
It was great. It went really well.
Right. This stone, you're alright? You're still you?
I am Budge. I am still me.
You don't feel like you're gonna turn into a book?
As much as it would be the dearest delight of my heart if I turned into a book, Budge, I do not.
Alora, did I just hear you say that you wanted to turn into a book?
I love books, Rain.
As this sort of like cacophony of noise of Rain approaching and Budge seeing if Alora's okay, everyone around the camp is getting their breakfast things together. It is a subdued atmosphere in the wake of the events of last night. And that, I think, is a good place for us to leave off for this session with the Magical Cane Band. We would like, first of all, to thank those of you who have watched with us tonight. We appreciate you. If you're watching later on our YouTube channel, thank you as well for that. Remember to subscribe if you have not yet to our YouTube channel, and follow us at Bardic_inspo on Twitter and TikTok, and look us up on soothplayers.com as well for more information. Please come back next week, same time, same great network, to meet up with the Headless Marys, our other troupe of amazing adventurers. And it is the spooky season, so keep your ear to the ground for some announcements of some things we might get up to that effect later this month to celebrate, as if we haven't gotten spooky enough already.
A TPK. We're just gonna kill everybody in each party.
You know.
Okay.
Sometimes them's the traps. We'd like to also thank, as always, our technomancer in resident, Matt Day, for creating Rollcast, which helps us make this slick stream for you. Thank you as well to Eric Matthias, who created soundimage.org and has all these great music tracks for streamers to use. We encourage you to check that out. And thank you to the players for mucking in. We'll close, as always, echoing Mr. Shakespeare himself and saying thanks, and more thanks. We'll see you next week.